please help me welcome the founder and CEO of Better Life Choices of New York, Stephanie Fuentes.
You it, girl.
Right, she sure is.
Trying to keep this makeup intact. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's a Saturday, and I know our Saturdays are often busy, and I appreciate you giving me your time. My big sister told me today that I'm giving birth, so anyone in the room familiar with birth knows that the process of labor can cause many emotions, noises, actions, and reactions. So I ask that you bear with me during this process because, as you can tell, I'm already a bit emotional. This means a lot to me, and your presence, gratitude is an understatement. Thank you all for being here. I like to start with gratitude first before I get into anything. I just, again, thank you for your time, but also to my family, my parents, my father, Pastor Calvin Haynes in his absence, my mother, co-pastor Carmen Haynes, the first entrepreneur in our family, my big sis, Tanique Williams of London Salon. My dear, 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 dear husband, who's also the first entrepreneur in our household.
Yes.
Owner of DK Media. Am I? And to all the other entrepreneurs in the room, I salute you, especially the women. You started something, you're doing something, and you all inspired me, and that's why I'm here. My other siblings, my sister Faith, my brother Kwame, my brother Jeff, my family in general, thank you all so much for giving me your time. Just because we're related does not mean you have to be here, and I am aware of that. Do you remember what you were doing on Sunday, February 22nd at 12:36 p.m.? I do, and I always will, because that is when I first decided to do something about my fears. And by do something, I meant first acknowledging what those fears were. And when I did that, it led me to figuring out what my purpose was. For me, that purpose meant creating a space where solutions trumped support. There are many wonderful outlets for support, but for me, it felt like rehashing rather than rebuilding. The conversation to me is much deeper than doing better. The conversation should be, how do we do better? It was a quiet winter Sunday morning in February that I decided to start keeping a gratitude journal instead of what I normally wrote. The last thing I wrote was having something to look forward to, something to aspire to. I didn't know that when I wrote that this would be the something that I was referring to. I closed my eyes and meditated, followed by prayer. Tears of peace crawled down my cheeks. There was an eerie, eerie silence in my living room. When I prayed, I asked God and to tell the universe to calm it down so my comfort could be eased. Excuse me, I'm emotional. Labor pains. Yeah. What I didn't know at that time was before anything great can be achieved, your comfort zone must be disturbed.
Amen.
I'm telling you all of this not to preach to you or sway you towards my beliefs or practices. I tell you this because I truly want you to understand that the level of clarity that can come is through silence. God craves stillness so that he can fill one's headspace with his vision and his will. When I turned 30 without my permission, a deep life shift began. I began to desire more. I didn't know what more meant. I just knew that I was literally uncomfortable with how everything in my life was. At the time, by society standards, my life was good. I had just gotten married to a wonderful man.
Hey.
Yeah.
He's all right.
Yeah.
That's his little brother. I had gotten married to a wonderful man and had the island wedding of my dreams. I was independent financially, etc., etc. As time moved on, I tried to ignore my newfound need for more, for better, for different. All my normal go-to distractions and addictions that I usually indulge in to feel better no longer satisfied me. After allowing the booming voices of confusion, insecurity, and fear to take up residency in my head, I decided not to fight it any longer and go back to my roots, which for me is turning my troubles over to God and asking him for guidance. He gave it to me through his vessel, Oprah Winfrey. Girl, she was leaving her famous daytime talk show to start OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network. I remember being so excited to become a student in her life classes and her Super Soul Sundays, and just being able to attend something new, life school through TV. Imagine my disappointment when I found out that my cable provider wasn't going to carry it. Well, if you know me, you knew that either that provider was going to carry it or I was getting another provider in my household. Oprah has always inspired me, and because of her, I knew I wanted to live a purpose-driven life. When all was said and done that day, I remembered I had the Essence Black Woman in Hollywood event on DVR. This happens every year around Oscar time, but it's never been televised. And Oprah decided it was time for the world to see and celebrate with Black women for their achievement and excellence in Hollywood. Watching it, I was instantly brought to tears. All the different hues of beauty, the love and the support, the positivity, it all radiated through my screen. I said to myself, Self, I want to do that. Why can't I put on something like that? I answered back and I said, you will and you can. Growing up a preacher's kid in church, there were always appreciation services for the pastor, clergy, or someone who contributed greatly to the church. As I stopped attending church religiously, I realized that I no longer saw a platform to honor those who deserve celebration and recognition. I ran to my phone and logged onto the world's online diary, Facebook, to put my dream into the atmosphere. Sisterhood is often talked about, but the actions attached to it are pathetically minimal. Growing up, my first best friend was my sister. Siblings and families are often a first for many things in our lives. And though I am beyond blessed and fortunate that both of my sisters are still my best friends, having them didn't really allow me to respect and appreciate the need for other women that are not related to me in my life. Though I've always had friends, and think I've always been a friend, I didn't really understand what friendship and sisterhood meant until this unsolicited life shift began. As one of 8 million plus people living in New York City on the constant go, I often wondered if anyone ever noticed the bruise under my eye that I was trying to hide with makeup.
Take your time, baby.
According to the Coalition for the Homeless, in July 2015, there were over 58,000 homeless people, including 13,000 homeless families with 23,000 homeless children. The number one reason for women being homeless? Because they're escaping a domestic violence situation. Keep in mind that there are nearly 400,000 more women than men in New York City. And depending on which state you reside in, women still make 77 to 86 cents for the $1 that a man makes for equal or more work. If this is what it's like for women, imagine what it's like for the 1 million girls living in New York City under the age of 18. According to the National Campaign to Prevent Teen and Unplanned Pregnancies, after 2013, there were more than 750,000 girls between the ages of 15 and 19 pregnant in the United States each year. Parenthood is the leading reason that teen girls drop out of school, and more than 50% of teen mothers never ever graduated from high school. About 25% of teen moms have a second child within the first 24 months of their first baby. We need to do more than just shop and gossip and brunch together. All those things are pretty wonderful, and I even love them a lot. They're even necessary. But what are we doing to motivate, educate, and uplift one another? What are we as women really teaching our young ladies about self-worth, sisterhood, and camaraderie? I know our lives are busy. Trust me, I know we wear many hats, and we can't always take on the journeys of others. I so get that. But when we can encourage, educate, support, motivate, uplift, and assist, do we? I want to be surrounded by women that not only inspire me, but are smarter than me. Women who don't look at other women as competition, because I really don't. Women who know that there's room for every woman to win. Women that are aware, but more importantly, who are responsible for the energy that they carry. Women who don't just admire greatness, but emulate it until it becomes practice and a part of their everyday being. And most importantly, women who kick the door of Plan B when Plan A fails. We have to be better women than we look up to. Better than the women we claim that we don't judge or talk about. Better than the women we portray on social media. So that the young ladies coming behind us have a well-rounded life path. So they realize they can be the table and not beg for a seat at it. This is,
Take your time, baby.
You do it. You do it. Come on, mama. You are doing it.
Take your time, baby.
this is for my nieces, London, Layla, Zoe, and Hannah. My nephews, John, Jaden, Jalen, and Masai. And most importantly, this is for little Stephanie. Once you realize that there's more for you than what you have been given permission to believe that you are, a whole nother dimension will open up for you. You matter. What you have to say, it matters. What you think, it really does matter. You are more than your features. You are more than your attachment to a man, young lady.
Come on again.
Young men, you are more than your attachment to a woman. You are more than your financial status. You are who you choose to be. I promise little Stephanie that I'd make her proud one day. That her disappointments, her failures, and her fears would not define her. And I plan to do just that. My name is Stephanie Fuentes Califa, and this is Better Life Choices of New York.